Yesterday we looked at some of the rationale, some of the ideas behind the kind of work we're doing, to put it in context. We're moving on today is to look at the energy field and the chakra system with a view to how it works, so that when you start doing chakra cleaning, chakra cord work, probably starting tomorrow or maybe later today, we'll see how it goes, you have a sense of what your contact. As I said yesterday, there are many different ideas and perceptions of what the chakra does and what it looks like. I'm giving you my version. I'm not saying it's the version, it's one version, but it's a version that I find is very practical and usable for the working healer. And you can embellish it or change it however you want. I have followed the old yogic idea that the chakras are like lotus flowers, where the lotus, which is right out here in our lotus pond, is rooted into the physical body, in this case the mud at the bottom of the lotus pond, and the stem sprouts through the physical body, in this case it will be the water, and emerges outside and gives us this beautiful lotus flower. That's the chakra head. In terms of the function, we have of course the spine, and running through the spine, or in some cases people say parallel to, but close enough to be within the spine, is Shushumna, which is the main nadi. Nadi just means power current, the main energy stream up the spine. And it's from this energy stream that the chakras emerge. So here's the second chakra emerging around C3, out right above your pubic bone and emerging 4 to 6 inches outside of your skin. So this is chakra 2. Now, of course, we bypass chakra 1. Chakra 1 comes out of the tailbone, right at the tip of the tailbone, and points down. So it's a little bit different in that it's rooted down and has significant function in grounding, rooting, and, of course, energizing, empowering the other smaller acupuncture lines, the meridians, in the legs. As we did yesterday in the practice session, we're going to work with the first chakra through this foot chakra, this little energy gate, just beneath the ball of the foot. And there'll be more about that later. So, first chakra, whose function is to provide safety, rooting, and grounding for the entire system, without which we can't really develop the higher chakras and the functionality of the higher chakras. So in a relational energy healing session, which you're going to be doing over this week, this is the second place we start. The first place is the energetic boundary, and I'll come back to the energetic boundary a little later. We start down here because many people have problems grounding, feeling connected to the earth, not just in terms of physical balance, but in terms of the energetic flow to the earth, the natural rhythm and prana of the earth. And as you've probably noticed, even in the few days you've been here, the prana of this earth beneath us is very different to Holland, to Japan, to Canada, to everywhere. So one of the advantages of being in an intensive or going on a trip is you can feel the different energies, different magnetics of the planet, and because we depend on those magnetics, it will either energize and or change us, hopefully for the better, but at the very least it's going to trigger something because it's different. If this wasn't an energy healing workshop, if this was just a regular group of people, we would say that travel broadens the mind. Yeah? When you travel, your mind changes, your perspective changes. Regular people know that if you want to refresh and rejuvenate, you go somewhere very different. When you go somewhere very different, different energies nourish you. They also affect you differently. So when Evan moved from Vermont to Seoul, Korea, suddenly his energy system has to, first of all, make friends with and make contact with the energies, the magnetics of soul, of Korea, and then his system has to adjust to all the other relational energetics, which is going to enhance is going to enhance and change his personal process, his energy field, his perception of things. It's going to make him reevaluate the old Evan who used to live in Vermont. And this is one of the main reasons for traveling, going on retreat, and doing spiritual retreats or spiritual work. You can't really do it in your home. I discovered this myself only a few weeks ago. Yui was away in Japan, so I said, I'm going to go to Bangkok and do my writing, do my photography and writing. She thinks it was mainly to do the photography and then to do the writing, and she's probably right. But what I found is I was more productive. I actually got your ebook finished while I was in a hotel room in Bangkok between the photo shoots. Actually, it was raining a lot, so that helped. But even in my beautiful North Borneo place, I actually find it better to move, and then suddenly I'm more in my flow, I'm more productive. And so while you're here in Bali, really take advantage of that effect for yourself. Really take advantage of not only the rejuvenation effects of the magnetics of Bali, but the fact that you've given to yourself a new opportunity, not just to learn, but to experience. Not just to experience, but to integrate in a very unique way you can't do at home. None of us can do it at home because relational energy fields tend towards habitual stability. Relational energy fields tend towards habitual stability. It's going to be the same with your clients when you're working with them. The idea is to not just clear them of past influences. That's going to be the astral work we'll do this week. But to provide a new experience, fresh energy, a new rooted, grounded connection with Mother Earth. And we call her Mother Earth for a reason, because the mother is nurturing. The mother provides the ground of being for all of us. Every human being that's born gets that connection, feels that support. We don't call Mother Earth Father Earth. It's Father Sky. It's a much different kind of relationship. So, nourishment, support, rooting, grounding, but not the kind of grounding where you're mining in, you're dropping a line down into the earth. The earth actually is coming up to you. The earth wants to support you. Earth prana wants to move into your feet, wants to fill your legs. And once your feet and legs are filled, energizes the pelvis. And then we begin our journey up the chakra system. Now, I've leaped ahead a little bit because I'm going to come back at the end of the chakra lecture to the boundary. But in the work we do, we always start at the boundary. But I'm leaving it until later, so we're going a little bit out of sequence. Yesterday, you sat at the feet of your clients and practiced rooting and grounding and inviting them into a relationship with the earth, with this earth, with Balinese earth, or wherever you are. In Holland it's going to be different, Winnipeg it's going to be different. We respect and connect to the land we're in and invite her to support our client, or support us if we're doing our personal work. I refer to them as feet chakras because that's how I was trained. But really, it's just a little energy gate. It's just a little acupuncture point that lets the energy in. However, what's helpful is if your client, or for you, imagines that your legs are trees' trunks, and roots, energetic roots or energetic cords, are spreading down into the earth to draw up that nourishment. And I found this to be a consistently helpful imagery to create a rooting effect for a client. Most of this came out of the fact that I do most of my Skype work now so I can't sit physically at the feet of my clients. So I developed this as a way to both have the client be guided into that imagery. Your legs are trees. We're going to send roots down into the earth. And that energy, that earth prana, naturally comes up to meet you. Naturally fills your legs. And somatically, in your body, or in the client's body, there should be some shift at the somatic level, at the feeling level. Legs become heavier, maybe tingling. But that filling, that heaviness, is part of the earth prana getting involved in the legs and the pelvis of the client. In the tribal traditions, they would accomplish this by dancing, trance dancing. Sometimes hours, sometimes days of dancing or doing some kind of physical movement that involved the legs and the pelvis getting charged and a connection happening with the earth. One of the highlights of my of the night, I think it was the 90s, late 90s, is I went to West Africa, Guinea, and it was my first time in Africa. Guinea is a very poor part of, a lot of Africa is very poor, but the people were so rich. They were rich, they were in their bodies. I was attending an African drumming class, but mostly I was there for sightseeing, and I was so struck by the vitality. I mean, you could feel it stepping off the plane. The vitality of the land, the fullness of the auric fields of the Guinea people. And the music and clothes reflected that, the vitality of the colors, the vibrancy of the music, the dancing. Very poor materially, very rich spiritually. So we need to kind of work as Westerners and other and Japanese and other peoples. We need to work hard, or at least dedicate ourselves to connecting to the earth, feeling her, having her run through our body. And when we work with our clients, to bring some of that vitality into their energy system, into their physical body. You can assist yourself by yoga, by dancing, by various physical exercises. And I'm hoping there'll be a time this week we'll look at physical exercises or dancing or movement that I find to be very helpful, and which you can also encourage or assign to your clients to do, because it's not going to be just the hour they work with you to energize their legs and their first chakra. They really need to go and do something between sessions, especially if their first chakra is very weak or not digesting, not rooting down into the earth the way native people, tribal people know how, just very naturally, just very normally. You know you're getting there when you have excess emotional energy, adequate physical energy, that your alertness, your mental alertness and your visual acuity increases. And there's also a sense of your body being a little heavier beneath than above. Almost as if, have you seen those Buddhas with kind of bottom-heavy Buddhas? Maybe with a big belly, or maybe they just sat in a triangular shape. So the Buddha shape is emblematic, is symbolic of this bottom-heavy, healthy auric field. It's a symbol of that rootedness. If you look at a statue of the Buddha or any deity or symbolic divinity that is an earth divinity, you will definitely get the sense they are rooted, flowing. There's nothing up top heavy about them. This is the best way to give a healing and for a client to receive a healing. Because if not, then you're working with minimal energy to effect a change in the chakra system. The chakra system will only change if A, the blocks have been removed, the hindrances have been released, and B, there's enough energy to effect a change. Those of you who've studied bioenergetics or core energetics, which I used to be part of in my Brennan years, are familiar with the charge-discharge approach, in that the core and bioenergetics approach found that by charging the body excessively, the physical body excessively, it would effect a change in personal and emotional experience. So instead of just sitting and doing therapy with them, they would have the client do all sorts of exercises to start generating a pranic charge, a bioenergetic charge in the body, and they found that would help pop open or enhance the healing process. The downside is that it only works in certain circumstances. The downside of that approach is that for those of us who were injured very young, very early, so anything below 2 years of age, that approach will often re-injure or re-energize the original trauma rather than help. So that approach does need a certain sophistication of when to apply and when not. We, in relational energy healing, don't take on that. We respect the work. We definitely acknowledge its place in the grand order of things, and there are definitely times to do that. But what we're looking for is to create rooting and safety as the first stage of our rocket that's taking off. Rooting and safety and deepening to the body rather than lifting it up and getting it into an ungrounded, disconnected place. That really doesn't work for cord work. We need this. We need the earth. We need the support of Mother Earth, the support of the land and the spirits and our ancestors and our spirit guides, our support from our friends. We need all of that, which generates this bottom-heavy ballast for change to occur. So if change is not happening in your cord work, if you're not getting the kind of results you'd like to see with your clients, always return to basics. And the basic here is if nothing's happening up here in the upper chakras, nothing's happening in the client's personal process, if there's not enough of a shift, return to rooting, return to getting more energy down here, the lower part of the body, and safety, boundary. Boundaries are kind of a separate subject, so that's why I'm leaving it to the second part of the... Actually, I realize Alan's question helps me bring another point, which is if you are working with someone in the dying process, the letting go, the transition process, then these rules change. You can see why, yeah? Because if someone's about to die or in transition, they're moving towards letting go, not rooting down. And there are, and probably in this room, there are healers that specialize in the transition. You know, when someone is starting, and it doesn't necessarily need to be the client is transitioning or dying, but they may be a parent who's transitioning and dying. So it's good to understand the end of life relational energy stages as well as the mid and the early life stages. So again, so much material, but you know, as we go deeper into this and also to be, hopefully you get a sense of how to apply the correct healing approach to a client at a certain stage. When I work with a young man, 20, 25, 30, his issues are very different from a man who's 40, a man who's 50, a man who's 60 or 70 or 80 is starting to transition. Same with the woman also. I have to work a little harder with working with women because I'm not a woman. I'm most definitely, in my maleness, so I have to learn constantly about what women need through these various stages, with sisters, with mother, and so on. And so for you as women healers, as spiritual women, you have to do the same with men. Kind of study what men need, because we are somewhat different. When I taught at Barbara Brennan School, they didn't like to hear this. Students didn't like to hear this, because we're supposed to be alike, except for genitals. But actually we're very different. I got a lot of flack for talking about gender specifics in auric field configurations. But they're very important. And actually, if we add in the gay man, the lesbian woman, and remember, as we know within gay couples, there's always a top and a bottom, more masculine and more feminine, even within same gender relationships. So we have to study that too. I'm boringly heterosexual, so I don't know. So I have to learn, read, be taught by my clients, which has also helped me. We have to do the same. And of course, there's one new gender, the lady boy, what Yui calls the new half. A little bit of one, a little bit of the other. They're gender inspecific. So again, we have to respect their choices and their, not only their sexual preferences, but what their energetics are, how we can help the transgender or the lady boy. I've never worked with a lady boy, but at some point it's bound to happen. We have to study all of this. And the great thing about being in a community of healers is we can share that information with each other. We don't have to know it all. If you don't know how to work with someone who utilizes a different lifestyle or gender approach to you or to people you've worked with, someone out there does. So you can always do the research. And if you don't know how to research, see Nathan. He's a nerdy scholar. He'll tell you how to research. This guy leaves me in the dust when it comes to research. Okay, so